All right, guys, we are back. Welcome to a new episode of the Foodie Filmmaker Podcast. It is back officially. I'm excited. I'm sure you guys are excited too. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, as usual, I was late to the studio. For the most part, every time I book this room, I'm usually late. I don't know what happens every time I'm about to I'm about to film an episode. Something happens prior to that, and then I end up getting here late, and then I end up adding time to the reservation time. So right now, I only added half an hour because, we're just coming back. So I'm guessing we're not going to be talking that much, even though I will be sharing a lot of things with you. But I don't think I'm going to be surpassing the hour limit. So I just added half an hour. Hopefully that's going to be enough. I just ended an Instagram live through my Foodie Filmmaker Podcast Instagram, and nobody joined. It was kind of sad. I was here. I was kind of warming up, getting back into the zone, trying to get into that flow of talking to you guys and stuff. And so I was hoping somebody would join, but maybe it is a little early. It is 10 a.m. right now, so maybe a lot of you guys are still sleeping. I mean, I personally would probably still be sleeping. I mean, it is a Saturday. It is the weekend after all, so you want to get your rest in. But today I have a collaboration somewhere near the studio, so I was like, you know what, let's just jump into it. And even though I still didn't feel like it was like the right time to jump back into the podcast, I was like, you know what, maybe that time isn't even going to come yet, So I was like, you know what, let's just make it happen. Let's just get into it and let's see what happens. So plus I was very excited to just do it again because like I said in that short clip, I don't know if you guys saw it, but if you guys follow me on Instagram at the Foodie Filmmaker Podcast, you guys saw I uploaded a small clip where I was kind of explaining as to what's been going on all this time between the last episode and right now. And so I kind of explained how there's been a lot of circumstances that have been happening, a lot of work, a lot of things that had just been happening. And so, that's why the podcast hasn't been able to go live as consistent as it was when I had just started. I was releasing like 1 or 2 episodes per week because I was really excited. I was really into it. And then there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to share with you guys. So, there was just a lot of episodes going out back and forth, but eventually, I kind of had to slow it down because of just work and getting more clients and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's kind of what happened. But here we are back. It is early. I haven't even gotten coffee. I haven't gotten breakfast, nothing. I'm just coming straight from my house down to the studio here and filming this episode for you guys because I just wanted to make it happen. I knew it had to happen at some point, and today is that day. So yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do begin though, I do want to say that I do want to change the format a little bit of the podcast because before today's episode, what I would normally do is just jump in here. And yes, on my way here, usually I would think about ideas and things that I wanted to talk about on the podcast, but there wasn't really a clear structure. I didn't really write things down or anything. I didn't have like a specific like rundown, like a list of topics that I wanted to cover for that specific episode. So I would just kind of have something in mind, and then I would just kind of share that with you guys. And then based on what I was saying, based on the thoughts and topics that were coming up as I was sharing something, then I would just kind of jump from one to the other and just kind of let the podcast just kind of manifest into being, right? Just kind of happen in the moment, in the state and everything, right? And that worked for quite a while. I feel like a lot of people really like that format. They enjoyed it. As I've heard from some of you guys, thank you so much to everybody who actually watches the podcast and listens through. I really do appreciate that. Maybe you guys just listen to the audio version, and that's cool as well. I am working on getting it on other platforms like Spotify and stuff like that, so you guys can just listen to it on the go if you guys don't want to watch it here on YouTube. But yeah, so I'm very thankful to everybody who's watched it, who's been insisting me to come back into the studio and continue recording episodes. So there's that. So I will be kind of structuring it a little bit more. Not that it's not going to be and it's not going to have that same flow anymore. It's just that it's gonna be more efficient, I guess I would say. I will be able to cover a lot more things that I normally wouldn't, because what happened was that I would film them, like I said. I would just kind of go off based on what I was saying, based on ideas that I had, thoughts that I had on my way here, and then I would just go off that. But there was times where, the thoughts and everything just wasn't coming to me. So then there was a lot of times in the podcast where I would just stop and just be in a complete blank, because I didn't know what to say. I really had nothing coming to my mind. And so I kind of want to avoid those kind of things, because, like I said, I want to make it entertaining for you guys. And also I want to make the most out of the hour, because, this, renting out this room isn't free. So I want to make as much use of it while I am here. That way you guys can take a lot of cool stuff with you, and I'm able to deliver good stuff for you as well. I'm able to deliver the things that I want to deliver for you. So that's why I'm going to structure a little bit more. So I hope it does make a difference. We'll see, as you guys are going to see the episode today or listen to it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. I want to get into the first the first topic of today. Let me go ahead and I got myself a big glass of water, because I already know how these things get, and plus I haven't done this in a while, so I know that it's gonna take a toll on my voice for quite a while. So yeah. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode here. I kind of wrote them down on my phone. Okay, so first we're going to be talking about clients. So this topic is primarily for those who work with clients. Maybe you work with them as far as like you run their social media pages, or you create content for them. And so specifically what we're going to be talking about is when clients pay late. So what do you do then, right? So you have a client, or maybe you have multiple clients, right? And they're all like paying late. So you have a specific time frame, you have a specific date that you charge each one of your clients. You tell them like usually what I like to do is I like to charge them on the first of every month. That way it makes it a lot more simpler. I don't have to remember all these random dates. Okay, like we started on like March 13, and then here we started on February 26 or something, right? And then like I have to remember to charge that person on the 26th. I have to remember to charge that person. And sure, you can write these things down, but then again, like I said, it's all like all over the place. So I like to really kind of just start everybody off at the first. That way on the first I can expect everybody's payments. And so what do you do when they don't pay you, like, because it is brutal, especially as you guys are watching, you guys have clients, you guys manage pages or create content on a monthly basis. And so you got to charge them, and they're just not paying. You send them a reminder the day of, maybe you send them a reminder the day before, and they just completely forget to send the payment. So what do? Do you chase them around? Do you continue sending messages, right? Like, hey, pay me, right? Because I need to pay bills as well. It's not like I can just work for free and stuff. And so what do you do in those times? So I've been working with clients as far as like running their pages and creating content for them for about like maybe I want to say like 3 years now. And so I've experienced a whole range of clients, clients that like to, like they'll pay like a day late, but they'll always pay a day late, or they'll pay like they'll pay like on the day, or they'll even pay before. So there's different patterns and stuff. Some of them will pay like halfway on the next month. And so here's the thing, like for me, like almost I've actually I've only had one client that didn't pay me for a month. Like he just completely like I asked him for the payment, and he just kind of acted like, oh, I already sent you that payment. Like, what are you talking about? And that's one of the reasons why I even stopped charging the way I did. But what happened with that one client is that I would charge that client at the end of the month. So I would do the entire work for that month. And then at the end of the month, I was doing social media management for that place, actually. And then at the end of the month is when I would collect the money. And so what would happen is that I would send a reminder each time at the end of the month, like, hey, like, it's time to pay. And so he would normally pay for the most part, like on time. Sometimes it was like a day late or something like that. But for the most part, but at the end of the day, he did pay pretty much every single month until that last month where he told me that he wanted to stop the service. I was like, okay, that's fine, but please send me my last payment for this past month. And so that's kind of when he was like, hey, I already sent you that payment. And then he sent me like these receipts which didn't really match. I was like, dude, it clearly, like on the receipts that you send me, you can clearly tell that you didn't pay me for this last month. And so in his head, or he was probably trying to play me, but I guess what he was trying to do is make me think that he was paying me at the beginning of the month, which is what I currently do now. So I would encourage you, if you work with any clients, like charge them at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the term, or if you're going to do like a gig, I would encourage you at least to collect half the payment or some percentage of the payment up front at first. That way you at least get paid something, and then they pay something, and so they feel a lot more committed to you at this point because they've at least given you some money at this point. So then like they'll either they pay the full amount, so then you can confidently now do the work for the rest of the month because you've already been paid for it. Or at least if they pay a percentage of it, they've already paid at least something. And so if they want the job completed, then they know that they have to pay the rest of the bill. And so that's how you're supposed to do it. But with this client I was just kind of starting off my social media management journey, I guess you can say. And so what happened is that, so he made me think that I was collecting the payment at the first of every month, which that just wasn't the case. I was charging him at the end of the month. And so he was like, I already paid you. I paid you at the beginning of the month. I already paid you for this month. Like, I don't want to continue the next month. So why would I pay you for the next month, right? And so I went back and forth with him. I tried to tell him like, hey, like, that's a mistake. But unfortunately, he just pretty much stopped texting me. He didn't respond anymore. And so I just kind of left it alone because I didn't really want to chase him down. Plus, it was in the beginning of the term. It was the beginning of my journey. So I wasn't really charging that much for social media management. So I didn't feel like it was worth my time or energy to chase him around and and try to collect my money, because like I was like, I could use that energy better if I just go and seek out a new client who was just a better client to work with after all. And so that's basically what I was looking for, because I had my goals straight. So that's another thing too, that you want to have. You always want to have whatever your goals are. You want to have them very clear. So what do you want to do? You want to find a way to make really good money, or you want to find, or you want to get really good at this to the point where you just grow so much experience working with clients that at the end of the day you can collect a really big reward because you have all this experience. And so that there's a decision right there to be made as far as like, what do you want to prioritize? So in this case, I wanted to prioritize gaining more experience working with other clients. So I was like, you know what? I could let this money slide and use my energy to get a better client. And now I could use what happened here as a learning strategy in order to prevent something like that from happening again in the future. So in this case, I wasn't going to charge at the end of the month. I was going to charge at the beginning. So that's how it's pretty much been for the most part ever since. By the way, the place that this incident happened with, I actually spoke about it in a previous podcast episode. I forgot the number already, but it was a previous episode, and the restaurant's name was called Bird Box. And it's no longer active. That restaurant actually closed. There was a location in North Hollywood, and there was another one in Burbank. And I spoke a lot about that restaurant and what happened behind the scenes. And based on what I saw, I kind of knew that place was going to close down, just because of the attitude of the owner and the way things were ran in the back. It just looked like a mess. So I was like, this place is going to go to the ground eventually. And I was just kind of even relieved. I was a little happy, to be honest, to not be part of that team anymore. As I was like, you know what, that's, at the time, like I said, I was trying to gain experience. So I was basically just taking on any client, just to see how the experience went and see if I could learn something new through this client. But eventually, when you learn your gems, when you learn what you got to learn, sometimes the best course of action is to eject. Sometimes the best course of action is to drop this client. So that is one of the things you can do. So basically, if they're not paying you, first of all, you want to do your best, obviously, to remind them, to let them know, like, hey, like, I expect my payment on a certain day. Let them know that that's how you work, and do that at first. Just be very clear, communicate with the client, let them know that, hey, I need my payment because, this is business. This is how we work. I deliver the content to you. I'm doing whatever the agreement is, right? So if you're running the page, I'm going to be posting these many times a month. I'm going to be creating this kind of content for you. I'm going to be sending influencers to your spot. Whatever the agreement is, this is what I'm going to do for you. In return, I expect you to pay me on a certain day. And so that's the first thing I would suggest. If after that they're still not paying you, the second thing you must do, and this is something that I don't see a lot of people doing, and maybe it's because you just want to be nice with the client, you don't want to lose them and stuff, and so you kind of just let this kind of happen, or which is another thing that I would say, but this is going to be the third thing to not do. But the second thing I would do is just stop providing the service. So if they haven't paid you for the previous month, don't continue on to the next month, because I've seen this happen with a lot of individuals who are starting this off. Like they're doing the social media stuff, they're managing the page, and so they think they're on a monthly basis, right? So what happens is that, maybe the owner tells them, like, yeah, I'm going to send you the money. I'm going to send you the payment soon. Don't worry, man. And so then what happens is that they assume that the payment is going to come sooner or later. So then they don't want to lose the client. They don't want to just stop working. So, and then they don't want to maybe, I guess, based on my personal experience, what I would say is probably you don't want to make the client angry. You don't want them to get upset at you. So what you would do is just kind of try to keep them happy, so that maybe they send the payment faster. And so what you do is that you continue working on for the next month without really knowing if that payment is even going to come through. So what I would suggest is just stop providing the service. Doesn't mean that you have to stop providing it forever. What you can do is that you can wait until the payment actually arrives. Once you receive the payment, then you can continue the service. But until then, stop the service, because this will send a message to the client and let them know, like, hey, if I don't pay this guy, like, then there's not going to be any content being put up anymore. There's no production happening. The consistency of the post and the engagement and everything is going to start to drop, and so they're going to start to notice that, and so this will incentivize them to send you your payment faster than you continuing to provide the service. And for them, they're thinking like, oh, they don't see any effect on their end as far as like their service, because their service is still continuing. It's almost as if you want to forget to pay your phone bill, right? I mean, your electricity bill. Let's just say, for instance, right? So the power company is like, hey, you got to make your payment like now, or else like we're going to cut the power. And so what would happen if the power company just decides to, leave the power on for them, and be like, hey, you know what? He said he's going to send us the money eventually. So, let leave the power on, right? So they'll never notice that there's something going on. Like they'll just go on. They'll just kind of use that excuse of like, yeah, I'll send you your payment later, and then just move on with their life. Because let's be honest, most business owners, they have a lot of things going on. They have a thing going on here, that business going on here, they have things going on here. And so what happens is that they forget that they need to pay you. Sometimes they forget. Sometimes they're intentionally just ignoring you because they feel like perhaps it's not that important. It is important, but it's not as important as most of the things that they're out here doing. And so what happens is that now imagine that power company eventually comes through and just shuts the power off. So now all the lights are out. And so now is when they see the impact. They're like, oh, Maybe I should have paid my electricity bill on time. Now the power's out. And so they'll be a lot more incentivized now to go ahead and make that payment and be like, okay, you know what? Let's not play with these guys because they are actually willing to go as far as like cutting the entire power completely. And so this is the approach that I would take if they're not paying you. And the next thing that I would do, and I would say that you stay away from, and this isn't entirely like, like you gotta take this like too hard, but something that I see a lot happen is that once you acquire a client, sometimes you get along with them a little too well, right? So you start to become friends with your client. And there's nothing wrong with being friendly with the client. I mean, it's not like you gotta treat them like you're a robot or something. Like, hey, this is strictly business. Like, we're not gonna be friends at all. We're not gonna, share any personal details about each other and stuff. And we're just gonna keep it business, right? Not entirely. But at the same time, you don't want to become like friends to the point where like the friendship is almost taking over the business side. Because to me, at least, when there's a relationship like that, when there's business involved, I usually like to prioritize the business side of things first before I prioritize the friendship, because I always because the business side should be a little bit more strict, whereas like the friendship side is something that kind of happens naturally. You just naturally get along with the person. But the thing is that business could exist without you getting along with the person. Maybe you just like the way that you like their service, you like whatever product they provide, and so you go over there, you do business with them. Maybe you're not very fond of who they are, or the lifestyle that they carry, which would kind of disqualify them from becoming a friend of yours, but you like what they provide, and so you can still do business with people like that. And you guys can still both benefit from each other. But the thing is that when the friendship takes over, now you guys are more friends than you guys are in business. Things like these, when it comes to like them not paying you, they just say you become really good friends with the business, with the restaurant owner or something. For instance, you become really good friends with the restaurant owner, and so now it's a little bit difficult to have to chase them around and having to ask them for money, because they're your buddies. You want to kind of treat them that way, and so you kind of just want to keep it chill because they're very friendly. You're very friendly with them. You guys probably go out, grab dinners, go to amusement parks, or go watch movies together, or do all the friendly things, right? And so I would restrain myself from doing those kind of things. As a matter of fact, if you come across a client that you feel like this client actually, they would be such a great friend. I just love this person. Like, this person is like, he or she, they're just so cool. Like, I would just want to hang out with them all the time. And they're just really cool people like that. In that case, I would even go as far as to just drop them completely as a client. And if you really, really, really feel like they are a really good friend, then just keep them as friends, and just keep the relationship like that. Just be friendly to each other, be really good friends, and that's it. Don't mix in the business part, and that'll be great. And so yeah. And then there's the other side as well, where it's like, usually this is what I try to do, is that every time I work with a client, I usually always try to prioritize the business side, because it is the business side at the end of the day that's going to keep him as a client. If you come in, you provide the results, you do your part of the business right, you provide whatever service that is you're providing to the business owner, whether it's like content, whether it's social media management, marketing, influencer marketing, whatever it is that you're providing, right? If you provide that really good, that's what's going to keep them around as a client. It's not really going to be the fact that, Louis here is very nice. I like the way he talks. I like the way he communicates with me. I like the way that he shares things with, stuff like that, right? Like I like his personality and stuff like that. Like, those kind of things is not what are going to keep me around these are things that are not going to, incentivize the owner to continue to do business with me. It's going to be what I provide at the end of the day. If they like me and they like my personality and all that stuff, that's really a bonus at the end of the day. And for me, it should be a bonus as well. If I'm doing business with someone, it's because I like their product, I like what they're providing, I like what they stand for, I like what they're doing, and so I want to be part of that. So I want to partner up as far as like doing business, because I feel like we would really benefit from each other, from what I can provide and from what they could provide. And so that's what that's really I'm not gonna go into business with someone just because I like them. And I've seen that happen a lot, where it's like, I like this person, like I really like you, like let's figure out a way to work something out. Like I would really restrain myself from doing that. Like, if you really get along with someone based on their personality, then just keep them as friends. I really don't see any reason why you should force a friendship, or someone that you get along with, force them into business. Like, I just don't understand why you would want to do that. You could always have your personal life where you have your friends, and it's outside of business where you just don't have to talk about that. You can just talk about whatever bullshit you want to talk about, and then you can have the people that you only talk about business, because these are people that you really feel the connection as far as like business goes, but you don't really feel like you don't really feel the connection as far as friendship goes. So maybe you see them as good friends, good buddies and everything. Maybe you see them as good business partners. You see them as good people to do business with, but not necessarily like someone you would take out and like be friends with and do all the friendly stuff. So that's the thing. I would just keep both separate if possible. But at the same time, doesn't mean that you don't have to, that you don't get to be friendly with your clients. Be friendly with them, of course, treat them with respect, and, provide that customer service, that friendly approach to everything. But at the end of the day, remember that they are your clients. And at the end of the day, what matters most is the service that you're providing, and also that they in return do what they say they're going to do. So if they're going to pay you a certain amount, make sure that they're paying you that certain amount. And that's really how you keep a healthy relationship in business. It's when they provide what they're supposed to on their end, and you do the same on your end, and everything's done according to the agreement, according to what you guys have both spoken about face to face, or maybe online, or whatever it is, however you guys do business. But whatever the agreement is, whatever you guys decide that you guys are going to do, whichever way you guys decide to work together, that's really what makes a really healthy and ever growing relationship in business work. So that's pretty much what I would do with clients that don't pay. I could go further into this, but this is just one of the topics that I wanted to share with you today, because I have been getting asked this question quite a bit, and I'm okay, and it's cool. I think it's great. You guys can continue submitting your questions, and so I wanted to kind of address that here on the podcast. See, I'm getting a couple messages here. Let's see. Let's see. Couple DMs from you guys, foodies out there, and a couple of restaurants. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I would do if the clients are not paying. So pretty much, do what you can in a respectful way. Try to get your money, try to get your payment on time, and let them know that that's what you expect. Second of all, don't continue the service. If they're not providing you with payment, they're not paying you, there's no reason for you to continue providing the service, okay? It's perfectly fine that you just wait until that payment comes through, and then you continue the service. And third of all, don't become way too friendly to the point where you can't have these serious conversations with your client that, hey, I need to be paid in order to continue working, or else this isn't going to work out. And have the power, have the courage to walk away, because at the end of the day, there's so many, whatever industry that you're in. Of course, right now I'm just talking about like the restaurant industry and stuff, but almost in every industry, there's so many clients, there's so many restaurants, there's so many business owners that you can approach and do business with. It's not worth your time trying to like hold on to a few just because you like them and stuff. If it's just not working out, just move on, go on to the next client. And believe me, you'll feel a lot relieved once you let go of these really bad clients and you go on to the ones that really do value you, the ones who really know and understand how to do business, and they respect you to the point where they send the payment on time on the day that you request the payment. So that's that as far as that goes. I locked my phone because I've been swiping too much. All right, so now let's move on to the next topic, which is the collaboration with other foodies. So, as you guys might have seen on my page at the Foodie Filmmaker, I have recently been collaborating with other foodies, and I have been doing it throughout the 3 years that I've been a foodie. I've been collaborating with other foodies, and I collaborate in different ways, whether I come through as a plus one or they come through on one of my collabs as a plus one, or we just kind of go to an event and we all pretty much just we share whatever the food is at that event and stuff like that. Then there's a type of collaborations where I'll film you, you film me. Sometimes we just we put both of ourselves in the video, so then like we're both in there, and so that makes it a collaborative post. So we collaborate in that sense where we just make one video out of the collaboration, but it's a joint video, so we're all pretty much collaborating on that one video, and so the video appears on all of our platforms. So that's a great way to collaborate with other foodies as well. And another type of collaboration that I've been doing recently, and that's because I'm a filmmaker, I've actually been helping another foodie film their collab. So I've been kind of like the camera guy while they've been like the talent, and so I pretty much just follow them around, and I filmed them eating, I filmed them in the place, walking, vibing, doing their thing. And primarily one person that I've been doing this with is the Gordo. His name is Alfred, but he goes by the Gordo here on Instagram. So if you guys want to follow him, go ahead and give him a follow. He has some excellent content. And I've had the honor to work with him, be his cameraman. And so I think that's a great way to collaborate with other foodies. Obviously, not every foodie is going to collaborate in that sense because, some of the foodies don't really have that strong passion for filming. They just have the passion for food, and that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, you are a foodie, so the passion for food is ultimately what's supposed to really be there. So I just have a passion for filmmaking, which given my username, and so that's why I like doing that, and so that's something that I've been doing. And so here's the thing, like a lot of people like ask me like, hey, should you collaborate with other foodies? Like, what do you say when you want to collaborate with other foodies? So I would say just keep it very simple, like, because I've reached out to other foodies too, like I want to make a video with them, like maybe we can, get together and try this one place together and stuff, and that's how we collaborate, right? And so I would say that's one of the simplest ways to collaborate with someone else is just if you have a collaboration available, just invite them to that collaboration. Like, hey, you want to come through as a plus one? I have this place that I'm going to, and it's great, and and so, I would like to come through. Would you like to come through? And I could probably go by myself, but if you want to come through, that might be a good, that might be kind of cool, if you can do that, and so, you can collaborate in that sense, or like I said, you can be like, hey, you know what? How about, maybe that person has already a cameraman, and so you could be like, hey, why don't you let me film you for that specific video, and that way we could collaborate. Like you can do your thing as usual, and then I could be the one filming you, and like the style of the video is gonna come out just a little bit different, just because I'm gonna be integrating my own personal taste into the way that it's shot and everything, because I'm gonna be the one filming. Or you can collaborate in a sense where like maybe they do their thing, one foodie goes out and they do their collaboration, and then they send me the footage and I'll edit the whole thing for them, and then that's kind of how we can collaborate in that sense where like I become like the editor, it's edited by me, and like it was shot by them, and like it's still their video at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, as simple as it gets, just reach out to them. And yes, there will be times where, you reach out to a foodie and they just don't want anything to do with you. They either don't open your message or they open it, but then they just leave it unread or seen, whatever. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't happen. And so you're there, you're confused. You're like, hey, do they not like me? Or what did I do wrong? Did I send the wrong message? At the end of the day, it's either one, they actually don't like you for some reason, and that's kind of normal. Uh, whether you might think that maybe it's not normal. Maybe you might think that, hey, I'm a very likable person and everybody should like me. I don't understand why anybody would dislike me, but believe me, trust me, at the end of the day, there is someone out there that will always dislike you just because of who you are. And sometimes it doesn't even make sense. So you're just gonna have to accept that there's always those couple people who would just not like you just because for whatever reason. So you just gotta not, no, you just gotta let that go. And if you come across foodies that are like that, then just don't collaborate with them. At the end of the day, like, you don't want to force any collaborations to happen, even though sometimes it also happens that maybe you idolize a certain foodie, and so maybe you've been doing your page for a while and you're like, maybe it's time. Now is the time for me to go and approach and hit them up, send them a message. Hopefully they want to collaborate. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't happen. They just don't answer. They straight up just tell you, you know what, I'm not interested in collaborating with you. I'm good. And so things like that happen. Sometimes also it could be that they do want to collaborate with you, but perhaps that at that specific moment it's just not the right time. So that's another thing. Like, you can always like hit them back, hit them up another time later on, maybe in a few months, because every foodie usually goes through certain stages in their foodie journey, because like usually in the beginning is usually when you hit it hard, right? So you start your journey as a foodie, you're a food influencer, right? You're trying to get your numbers up, so for the most part you're trying to get as many collabs as possible. You're trying to film pretty much everywhere, and so you're just like running around and trying to film. You're trying to film here, you're trying to film there, you're trying to film like you're trying to film left and right, and you're just trying to get yourself out there some way, somehow. And so maybe for that person, the priority is not really to collaborate with anybody at that point, because they just want to focus on creating content. But maybe if you hit them up like a year later, when they've kind of already gone through that phase of like, okay, I've already created enough content, I've got my numbers up, now I want to do things that, maybe get me involved more with the community. So then at that point, they might be more open to doing a collaboration with you, as opposed to when they're just starting off. And so sometimes the timing is just off, so you gotta understand that. But for the most part, I would say that if the foodie that you're reaching out is basically like they create similar content to yours and they seem friendly, and the numbers as far as like followers is somewhere around the same range, it's very possible that they will they will accept to collaborate with you at some point. And who knows, maybe it's depending on the place too. Maybe obviously, like you always want to ask like, hey, like what kind of a you could just invite them, like I said, to one of your collaborations, or you could ask them like, hey, like, what kind of food do you like? Like, is there a preference? Is there something that you really like? Is there a specific place that you've been wanting to go? Like, why don't we do the collab there? And so you gotta obviously communicate with the other food influencer, but I would encourage you, yeah, like I think they're very fun when you collaborate with other foodies, because at the same time, you guys, you get to be a part of the community. You get to meet other members of the community. You get to kind of bond with them and learn from them. And you guys get to do something fun together, something that you both enjoy doing, and share a passion at the end of the day. And so I think that's quite fun. Where I think you should be careful is a little bit is when you're already getting into the business side of collaborating with other foodies, because prior to this I've been talking about collaborating with them, but it's mostly in the sense of just doing it for free. You guys kind of just go eat together or something like that. You guys share a collaboration, one films the other person and stuff like that. But then there comes a time when it's like a business type of a collaboration, where like maybe the two two of you appear, but it's like a kind of like, oh, you got to pay me in order to appear in one of my videos or like something like that, right? And this is where like I would say that at this point, you do have to prioritize more the business side rather than the likability really of the person, because like uh you got to see first, like, is this a good deal for you? Because now we're moving on to the business territory. And so basically, you want to make sure that you get out of this deal what you want. Because if it's somebody else approaching you, that means that that person already has something in mind. That means that they already know what they can get out of you. That means that they're coming up with a business idea. And then maybe like I've had one girl, I don't want to say her name. She's a foodie though. But she did approach me, and she wanted me to be her cameraman. And she said she promised me that I would get paid. And she promised me that she would get me clients, and those clients would get her paid a lot, and then I would get paid a percentage of that. She offered me to be her cameraman, to go on her behalf and film for some of her clients and stuff like that. And I thought that was all cool and stuff, right? But I never saw any money. I never saw any actual action. And the thing is, what I did see is that she did have me come out and film her a couple times, but I never got paid for any of those things, which I personally was expecting to at least get paid something. But like I said, I didn't. It was kind of a business thing. And I didn't make sure that I established the right agreement beforehand. So then that's what kind of ended up happening. And so eventually I had to stop because I'm like, hey, like, you know what? Like, this is taking up a lot of my time. I have to go out and film you these many times a week. And it's just not worth it. And so eventually, that kind of had to stop. But, you really gotta be careful when it comes to business. It's not really a lot about liking the other person anymore. It's not about really wanting to meet them or idolize them or stuff like that. It's more about like, hey, are you getting a good deal out of it? Is it really worth it for you to go and spend your time and do this collaboration? And are you gonna get something out of it that you actually genuinely want or need? That's gonna help you move forward. Because if it's not, then it really doesn't make any sense to do that collaboration, even if it's business, even if you're going to get paid. If it's not going to move you forward, if it's not going to do something for your goals, then at that point I would just say to not do it. But if it's just like a friendly collaboration, I would always encourage you to go ahead and do them. They're always fun. It's always a good way to kind of put yourself out there, have other foodies meet you, and maybe through that foodie you meet another foodie and stuff like that. And it's always kind of cool, and then, you meet a good amount of foodies, and then you guys can maybe create a whole event out of that, and you guys can all go and try new food, and that's always like really fun. So there's that. Those are kind of my thoughts as far as collaborations go. I think they're pretty cool and stuff like that. All right, let's continue. Let's continue on here. Let's see. We're gonna go on we're gonna move on to the last topic because my voice is already dying here, and then we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna do something that I've never done on the podcast before, but has been suggested. I never thought I would do it, but I will do it because I am dying of hunger. You guys can probably guess what I'm gonna do, but it's gonna wait a little bit till the end of the episode, so don't click off. But yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to the last and third topic here. Man, who keeps messaging me? What is going on? Let's see. What's going on here? What's going on? Oh, okay. Logistics. I'm having other influencers come through to some of my spots, so I got to schedule them in, making sure that everything is going. Let's see. Okay, whatever. I got to stop looking there because I do get a lot of messages, People want to schedule here, they want to go here, then they want certain preferences every time they go. Can I get this? Can I get that? Can I bring this person? And so on and so forth. So that's kind of what you deal with when you do influencer marketing. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the third topic. So the third topic, and this is probably going to be my favorite one, which is why I saved it for last, because I want to be warmed up in the zone and stuff like that. So what do you do when the collab goes sideways? So what happens when you face the resistance task force, or just the restaurant is just plain I don't know anything, the staff is plain I don't know anything, the marketing people for some reason go silent when you go there, and then like nobody knows anything. You're trying to contact the marketing person, and the marketing person is just silent. They're just unavailable, and so now who do you talk to? You know, like it's going sideways. Or maybe the staff is just being a dick, and they don't want to serve you the food. They don't want to let you film in the way that you want to. Stuff like that, right? So what do you do, right? What do you do? Because you see, this is something I take to heart, because I used to work in the food industry, and so I used to work in the kitchen. I used to work behind the scenes, and so, you know, I understand how it's like to be back there. And like, you know, to me, it's like every time I go in there, like, at least for me, like when I was working in the food industry, when I was working in the food industry, when I was when I was making food, I was making coffee and stuff like that. I would be quite of a good employee as far as my performance goes. Not as far as like being a teammate, but performance wise, I was pretty good. Like I always made sure that everything was good, everything was clean. I made sure that the sandwiches and everything went out looking excellent, right? I wanted the coffee to look really good. I wanted this to look really good. I wanted everything to be delivered on time. So I would make sure that all the orders were going out quick and stuff. And usually, like when I'm in the back, I see like these employees that are like super lazy. Like I see them like putting out orders like so, like it's just so slow. Like the method that they're using is so slow. It's almost as if like they want to make the customer wait like so long, and I'm just like, why? Like, who trained these people? Like, I get there and I'm like, oh my goodness. And like, the thing is that sometimes I gotta wait until these orders are fulfilled before I can go in and start filming my collab. And this is the thing. Like, I'm like, you know, the collab is already going sideways here, you know, because I'm like, I have to stare at these employees do their job, do the work that they're being paid to do, and do it like so slow, do it in a manner where it's like they don't care. And I understand that maybe they don't care because they're not getting paid enough and so on and so forth. Maybe they're not getting treated properly, but at the end of the day, that shouldn't be happening, you know. Like I just don't like that happening when I go to the collabs. Or sometimes they just don't know what's going on. Sometimes there's always that manager that thinks he's the owner and starts talking like he is the owner and starts putting all these restrictions on, like, hey, you know, don't order that, don't order this, order this instead. This is good, or I'm gonna give you these. You know, when the marketing person said you can get whatever you want, now the manager here is like, hey, I'm gonna give you this, I'm gonna give you that, and now you're going to a collab where you're getting pre-selected items instead of you being able to just pick out whatever you want to eat. And so what's going on here? And like, it's annoying. This is all part of the resistance task force. That's really what it compiles to at the end of the day, because you're getting resistance. You're not really getting the experience that you're supposed to be getting, as far as like someone who's there to review food, someone who's there to review the service, someone who's there to review the service, someone who's there to review the food itself. At the end of the day, people are just they're uncoordinated, and I hate when that happens. Sometimes you get there, they don't know what's going on, they don't know who you are, like they don't know what you're there to do, they don't know how many items you're supposed to take. There's miscommunication between the marketing team and the owners and stuff, and it's just not cool. So what do you do in those circumstances? What do you do? like you're facing all this resistance. Maybe you came, and I've heard stories from like people who go from like one side of the city to the other. They go from LA to Orange County, and maybe they come from Orange County all the way to LA, and all that just to face something like this, right? Where like, who are you again? So like, it's crazy. It's malevolent. It's just insane to even like, as I'm talking about, I'm remembering some of the few times where I had to face certain things like that. And it's just horrible. It's horrible. It's disgusting, despicable. Shame on the restaurants that provide that kind of a service when a influencer goes to your restaurant and it's trying to do some good, like especially for me, because like, you see, I know the value that I bring. So when I come to a restaurant and I get and then I get this kind of resistance, I feel offended because I'm like, yo, like I'm traveling this much. Sometimes I'm even losing money because like some of you guys don't know, like some of you guys may or may not know, but I don't drive. So then I usually take an Uber. So I'm paying to take an Uber to go to your place. And then I'm going to film you with I want to say 6-7 years of experience that I have filming. So I'm going to film you with all those years of experience. I'm going to take photos for you for the 3 years of experience I have in photography. All of that. And then I'm going to edit as well with the 6 years of experience that I have in editing. I'm going to do all that for free. I'm basically just here to take your food as a form of payment. I'm not charging you anything. If anything, I'm losing money, I'm losing time, energy, because at the end of the day, what am I getting? A freaking burger or something that may be really good. Like I said, maybe the experience is really good. And for me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the experience to be really good to the point where it makes up for all that effort and work. And I'm willing to work for all that. It's not that I'm not, or else I would have just completely quit this, to be honest. But to me, it is worth it. It's worth for me to do an exchange of like all my years of experience in filmmaking, editing, photography, and making the investment of going there. To me, all that is worth it in exchange for a really nice experience. For some restaurants, like I said, they want to be, they want to behave this way. And so now we have to deal with that. And like I said, I feel offended because I'm coming with all this value and then you give me this in return. And so the thing is, like, what do you do in those times? What do you do when certain things happen like that? And I've seen like that happen. And sometimes it's even worse because sometimes I've seen some food influencers come in with like gear, or sometimes they come in with their full team. And so that's even more of an investment. Now, like, hey, I'm bringing the whole team, or I'm bringing you like 3-4 food bloggers with me. There are guests as well, but they're going to be posting as well. So now you're getting even extra exposure. That's 4 times the exposure you're going to be getting. And you treat the people like this. You treat the food bloggers like this. You treat them with disrespect. You treat them with resistance. It's just unacceptable, in my opinion. And so that's why, like, it's just like, honestly, to me, the best thing you can do is walk away. That's basically it. Like, for me, like when I face, now I rarely ever get that just because I make sure, like I take certain steps before I go to make sure that doesn't happen. So I make sure that everywhere you communicated, I make sure that I have everything in writing. As far as like the DM goes, I make sure that they DM me exactly what I'm supposed to be getting. That way, when I get there, I can show them like, hey, your marketing person said I could get this, and here's the proof. Like, they wrote this down. Like, I'm not just talking out of like thin air. I'm not making this up. Like, here's the proof. So there's that part, and so I don't really get it. But if I were to get it at this point, I would just walk away. I'd just be like, you know what? I'm good. I'm not gonna do this. If I'm really hungry, I'll just buy something from the place and eat it. I won't film it. I won't take a picture, nothing, and I'll just leave. Because, like I said, it's disrespectful. The amount of work that you're going to be doing, and in exchange, all you're going to get is the food, and they don't even want to give you that. Like, sometimes they want to make you film the orders and have you treat the footage that you captured of the orders, use that as your content. Like, what? Like, how are you supposed to review something you didn't even taste? Like, it makes no sense. Like, it's just ridiculous. But it happens. Some places think that they're cutting costs by doing stuff like that, but you're actually hurting your brand a lot, because now these influencers are not only not going to post, they're not going to create content for you, but they're going to start talking bad about your place. And like, you best be sure that we do, because every time I go to a place and it's shit like that, I make sure that I share that with other food influencers. I make sure I tell them, like, hey, have you been to that place? That place is shit, you know, like it doesn't taste good, or the service there is just whack, or, you know, like you better be ready to pay more than what it's worth. We share these things. We may not put them on content. We might not put them out there on blast because we don't want to do that. But we will be telling people, our closest people, we will be telling them, like, hey, I don't recommend that place. That place sucks, you know. The people that work there, they fucking suck, right? So yeah, so that's pretty much what I would do. I would just walk away. If you really want to do the collab, you really want to fight through the resistance. I know I did at first, because I really wanted to do the collab, and I didn't want to lose the collab, because especially when you're just starting off, right? You're like, oh, I have so little collabs. Like, I don't want to just throw that one away, you know, like it's going to take me this much time to get another one and stuff like that. It's a lot of work to get collabs. No, it's not. Actually, there's so many restaurants out there that are willing to collaborate with you. And if you're going to be facing that kind of resistance, I would even encourage you to just, if you really are out of collabs, try to join other foodies as far as like, you know, going with them on their collabs, or just straight out just pay, you know, just pay for the food. You know, at the end of the day, I would think that that's even a much better approach. Just go somewhere that you like, you really like the food, you enjoy it. Go make them a video and promote them. Promote the places that you already find to be amazing and good. And just do that for the meantime until you get another collab where they can comp the food, and then you continue your journey. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for today's podcast. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I wanted to share those three things. Now let's go ahead and finish this off by doing the thing that I said I was going to do. Like I said, I didn't get any breakfast, so we're going to be taking a bite into this protein. This is Lenny and Larry's protein cookie. I actually used to use these. I actually used to eat these back in the day when I worked out. A lot of people don't believe that, but there was a point where I did work out a lot, and I used to, you know, do a lot of I used to eat a lot of protein bars and protein cookies. So I have tried this one before, but it has been a very long time. But I will be eating it here on the podcast, and I will be letting you guys know how it is. So let me go ahead and pull it out of the packaging, and there you go. There it is. Looks pretty good. This is all the food I could find in the studio. They usually have more snacks, but I don't know what happened. They didn't refill, so yeah. So I'm gonna break it in half. Oh, and then we're gonna take a bite because I'm very hungry. So this is white chocolate. I gotta say, it's all right. It's all right. Take another bite. It's not that sweet. Just like any other protein cookies and bars, as you might have noticed, it does take a little while to chew, just because it's a very chewy type of cookie because it has all that protein in there. You do taste a lot more of the protein than you do anything else. The white chocolate is there, but it's not like overpowering. However, Uh, the protein, the protein flavor at the end of the day is very present in it, and so is the consistency of the cookie. This is not a cookie that you wouldn't want to eat or replace with a real cookie. A real cookie obviously the size is much smaller, or you can get cookies like that as well. But a normal cookie, you don't, maybe like this big. The consistency is definitely not like that, and it does not have that protein taste. It'll just taste like whatever the original flavor is supposed to be, whatever the flavor is supposed to be of the cookie. For a protein cookie, though, I think this might be the best one that I've tried. It's not as thick. It's not as sweet. The protein flavor is there, but it's not as like strong to the point where it feels like you're biting into like protein powder or something like that. Pretty good cookie. I will give it a good 7 out of 10. Anyway, guys, all right, so that's basically the end of it. Let me go and move this out of the way. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming through and watching another episode of the Foodie Filmmaker. I'm like almost about to fall asleep. I am exhausted. I haven't done this in a while, so it did take some effort. I could feel it, but I'm very happy that I was able to get this one out for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I will be back in the studio. I will try to do these as consistently as I can. Whenever I'm in the area, I'm gonna try to pull one off, and I'm gonna try to like I said, I'm gonna structure it a little bit so it helps me out when I'm delivering the content for the podcast, and hopefully make this podcast a better experience for you guys. And so I will be accepting the guests from now on. So hopefully you will be seeing a new guest very soon. Come through. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Follow the Instagram at the Foodie Filmmaker Podcast. It's tff.podcast. The link will be down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Obviously, you're watching on YouTube. But yeah, so the link will be down below so you guys can go ahead and follow there. Obviously, I'm pretty sure most of you guys follow me on my main account, which is the Foodie Filmmaker. That's where I post all my food content, so you guys can go ahead and follow me there as well. Other than that, thank you so much. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get notified every time there's a new episode launching. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.